So, I say, Top Secret or Atlas Shrugged, it was still her mind at play on all this. So let's quickly review the chronology of Atlas Shrugged. And what I'm doing in this is when I show characters and so forth, it's going to be based on Atlas Shrugged 3. You're going to see the actors that's in it and their descriptions versus what we have in Ayn Rand's work. So, Journals of Ayn Rand, Mind on Strike, Characters Needed, page 405. I just want to talk about, this is now April 10, 1946. This is 20 days after Top Secret has been canceled. And what does she say? John Galt, energy, active, competence, initiative, ingenuity, and above all, intelligence. Independent, rational judgment. The man who conquers nature. The man who imposes his purpose on nature. Not only does he conquer, but he can change it. Therefore, Galt is an inventor, a practical scientist. A man who faces material world of science, an adventurer faces unexplored continent. As a pioneer faced wilderness, something to use, something to conquer, to turn to his own purposes. In relation to creators, he is the avenger. He is the motor of the world. This is what she wrote about 20 days after Top Secret got canceled. So, experts have been unable to anchor Atlas Shrugged to any fixed year. Major book events are measured over a 40-year span. What happens, and when I'm researching this, no one really knew what year John Galt was born in. So what happens is they say, well, if John Galt was born here, we know Paul Larkin was born 17 years before him. And we know Dan Connolly was born 13 years before him. And we know Reardon was born 5 years after him, and Ellis was born 3 years after him, Eddie Willers 4 years after him. It's all relative. And the reason producers use this, there was talk of a movie in '75 that fell through. But when they were thinking of making that, potential movie in the '70s going to use John Galt's birthday as 1935. Why? Add 40 years to it. It ends in 1975 when the movie was going to end. Now, Atlas Shrugged 3, they wanted the ending to occur in 2015. When would he have to be born? At that point in time, for 2015, they needed 1975 to be born in.
40 years.
40 years. I thought I was going to get overruled on something here so far. So this is the structure that was used for Atlas Shrugged. Now what I'm going to do, a little later, we're going to start comparing fictional characters' birth years to Manhattan Project scientists to see if we get any hits. Investigating the rumor that scientists from the 40s who supposedly turned back an incredible invention, molten salt reactor. This is the guy. He's my prime suspect. Alvin M. Weinberg. Also here, he's B on the answers. We start off with an interesting coincidence too. It's hearsay. It'll be in the book, but it's not a fact here right now. But we're in 1950 to Jewish Russian parents that were likely helped to America in 1905 by the same cousins who brought Ayn Rand to America in 1926. Alvin Weinberg was raised in the same neighborhood, Hyde Park Boulevard area, that Ayn Rand resided in for 6 months while she was in Chicago. Alvin Weinberg, one of the youngest businessmen, had the project first came up with this concept of the light water uranium reactor in 1943, age 27. A couple of years later, he came up with the thoughts of safer materials, Thorium-233 in 1944, and that was at age 29. Later, in the late 40s, he came up with the concept of the molten salt reactor. That's what's on back here. Alvin Weinberg, 48, was President John F. Kennedy's scientific advisor. Based on the Atomic Energy Commission, AEC 62, reports that President JFK had great plans for Alvin Weinberg's peacetime molten salt thorium reactor technology should he be reelected to the White House second term, 1964. So let's get back to the Atlas Shrugged people. So now, if Ayn Rand truly based her powerful Atlas Shrugged character, John Galt, on someone born in 1915, we would see if any coincidences occur. And what we find is this: if for John Galt, we put in these dates, we'll put in 1915, and so all the births are recorded there, and here's all the events occurring here. Now, based on 1915 date, AR is writing about contemporary times around 1946, if I look along here. And one of the things she's writing on is an example I'll relate. Confirmed the journals of Ayn Rand, chapter 11, Mind on Strike, pages 390 to 91. It was around April of 46. She began this, and only begins full-time work on the novel April 46, the most prolific month of journal writing in her life is described. Now, note a coincidence here, just some small ones. She's starting to write, and if I look across here, Midas Mulligan shuts down his bank and disappears. Her screenplay was shut down. If we go back further, John Galt begins strike. It was 1942, he starts working on the atomic bomb. John Galt goes to work as a track laborer for Tiger Transcontinental. This brilliant guy is doing medial work, calculations and so forth on neutrons. So these little things that are popping up here. Now, let's take a look at, here's the Atlas Shrugged. I'm just going to look at the birth dates right now, not the events that was occurring afterwards. Things that are popping up here. Now, let's take a look at, here's the Atlas Shrugged. I'm just going to look at the birth dates right now, not the events that was occurring afterwards. And then, using John Galt's birth year of 1915 as direct hits against AR's top secret. So I'm going to put in the dates here. I'm going to put in the Manhattan Project scientists, the key ones that I thought were related to this. And here's my definition of direct hit. It's not only typically the same birth year, but there are at least two additional characteristics between the Atlas Shrugged and the Manhattan Project scientists. And what I'm going to do due to time, we're going to buzz through a lot of these, but I'm going to focus some time on three different entities just to give a flavor of some of the stuff that's going on here. And so we're going to look at some of these. And and so it's going to be Mr. Thompson, head of state. It's going to be John Galt, are going to be the prime ones I'm going to be focusing on, and Eddie Willis, because they're three different altogether characters, and it's interesting what transpired. So we get into this. Now, for instance, like, okay, these two philosophers, but there wasn't much else in common, so okay, coincidence. Here's the people playing at Mark Moses in the movie you're going to see tonight. I'm not going to get into the specifics here with these due to time. And there was a banker who was also working on Manhattan Project upward funding, very conservative. Some point in time, if you request the Ayn Rand people, I'll make this available to them. So if you like what you hear and they don't know anything about me, I'm some rogue that just showed up. That had
Okay. I don't mean this disrespectfully, but let's say you're done with everything and you make the case that they're tied together. What would that prove? What would that accomplish?
I'll show you at the end.
Okay.
Because it's really the future of this country and the world, because it gets back to its technology again.
Okay.
Which has been rediscovered.
Thank you.
So I'm going to zip by that one. There was a direct hit minus the Mulligan, but not enough. Well, there were a number of things here, but a traitor, I call that coincidence. Here's Robert Stadler as John Galt's graduate physics professor. This guy was same birth year. He was Alvin Weinberg's professor in physics and so forth. So dates are the same, a lot of similarities there, but again, I want to get to the key ones. So that was a direct hit. Richard Haley, the musician, well, there was a guy from Manhattan Project that ended up in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I call that coincidence. Didn't have the same dates, but so I'll go by that one. Dan Conway, middle age, minus 13 compared to John Galt, which we put it 1902. Eckert, a lot of similarities there. But again, I'm not going to focus on that right. I just call that a hit because it wasn't three items. Big hit here. This was Weinberg's mentor. He loved Guy. They did books together. He won a Nobel Prize. A lot of similarities there, same birthday, and it said in 20th Century Fox how John Galt just couldn't work for a mediocre person. It had to be someone really brilliant, and that's what Wigner was. Amazing individual. So that was a direct hit. Now I'm going to spend a little time on this one because this one is frightening. Thompson, head of state. I found it, now, I put a question mark here because they couldn't define the real year, how much older than John Galt he was. We knew he was older. But I know Holyfield was 12 years older, and you're going to see descriptions here that Thompson, head of state, not particularly intelligent. He knows politics, master of public relations, president of the United States. He's supposedly as powerful or more powerful than the president, but she didn't want to disrespect the president. Well, we have this guy, ran away from home at age 15, ran from Kentucky to California, had a 9th grade education. 15-year-old dropout, abusive, from Kentucky to Alabama, then to Montebello, California, 1917, 25 years later. They jerry-rigged District 19, which is right next to Hollywood. It's East Los Angeles. And he's going to prove to be the biggest nemesis to Alvin Weinberg and what he's trying to do. There's a huge battle going on there that most people can't see. He will finally lose that spot after 30 years, thanks to Ronald Reagan. The jerry-rigging of districts in California ended in 1970. 72, District 19 was combined with District 13. This guy felt, okay, if we get out, maybe my education and other things, he didn't even run. So,
The outlawed gerrymandering in California?
What's that?
The outlawed gerrymandering in California?
Yeah. They made some major changes to it in the early 70s when Reagan was in. It went to the state Supreme Court and they agreed to make some changes. Now, the reason I bring this up is all government funding must, the power he had, they jerry-rigged him even when he got into office, that a lot of committees got combined, and he was all powerful on any money that was expended. He could say where it went, and he could do investigations anywhere. He was stronger than the Ways and Means. And at first I'm thinking, well, lucky son of a gun this guy is. But then I started this, where Roosevelt said, in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned on.
Yes.
But one thing the people who backed him never expected, he left in 74. He's 1980 here.
This is my work on the government operations committee. When I first went to Congress, I was put on the
Who would have thought someone would interview him when he said
which was